And the next step we want to make is create a petal for each of the 135 movies. So thus far, you might have noticed that we've been binding our data to existing DOM elements and setting attributes and styles on them. But we can't possibly, go around creating SVG elements for like every single point we have, data point that we might have. Like we're not going to, copy and paste 135 path elements into our HTML document or anything. And so here's how we're going to go about it with D3 instead. So let's go back to our kind of simple data or simple bar chart that we had before. And we have the same array of 5 numbers. And are the magic lines. It is select all the rectangles, bind data, .enter, .append rectangles. And let's break down those. In the SVG, what are we even selecting? And the answer is it's an empty selection. So then we might wonder, how are those bars appearing? Binding our array of 5 numbers to this empty selection of rectangles. And so what D3 is doing in this .data function So that's the first thing that D3 does. It says for our data and our DOM to sync up, we need to create 5 rectangle elements. But interestingly enough, it is an empty selection. So it says empty times 5. And if we look now at this thing that's called _enter, it actually has these five elements within it. So what happens next is we call .enter. And what .enter does is it basically just kind of plucks out this array of the 5 essentially placeholder elements. And these placeholder elements is, if you look at in the underscore groups, it's that kind of RT, the placeholder elements that we saw earlier in here. And finally, with .append, we're saying, okay, insert a rectangle element in the DOM for each of the placeholders that we have. And each of these elements with the data already bound. And so this is one of the first big, I guess, key yeah, this is, so I guess this is the lightning bolt key concept, one of the first key concepts, which is that D3 stands for data-driven documents because we're letting our data drive what is created in the DOM. And this is, if you take nothing away today, please take this one away. In D3, we had bugs come up and confusion come up. So some key things to look out for when we're entering and appending. The first is that it's not an array, D3 will error out. And when you create so thus far we've had the select all be whatever the SVG element is, whether it's select all rectangles or select all path. But sometimes you want the selector in your select all to be something else, because maybe in your DOM you now have, multiple different kinds of paths, and some paths might be doing one thing and another set of paths might be doing another. So maybe you want to only select a subset of these paths, and so when you do that, you must make sure that the selector that you pass into select all matches what gets appended. So for example, if the selector important.